Welcome to the Planeswalker Project.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Planeswalker Project. We've been trying to get better at Magic unsuccessfully since 2016. So today, we're going to be venturing out to the seas of Ixalan, where we will be greeted by the famous Admiral Beckett, who will be the commander of today's deck. The Admiral is a Grixis-colored 3/3 human pirate who gives a static anthem ability to our other pirates. And at the beginning of your end step, if 3 or more pirates dealt combat damage to a player, you can steal one of their non-land permanents. And just a quick FYI, if you manage to meet this requirement on multiple opponents, you still can only steal 1 permanent. Now, the goal of this deck is going to be pretty straightforward. We send our pirates out to attack opponents' ships and we bring their booty back for us to use. We do also have a very small but very relevant sub-theme using the treasure mechanic from Ixalan. We're in Grixis colors, and as a result, we really don't have a whole lot in the way of mana ramp, largely due to our lack of access to green. So the treasure tokens in part make up for this weakness, giving us ramp in a form we otherwise wouldn't be able to use. So let's meet the crew. Our main offensive force of pirates will be the ones doing the dirty work and wrestling us up some opponents' boards. The Daring Saboteur is a great attacker, being able to loot whenever they deal combat damage to a player. The Deadeye Tracker and the Siren Storm Tamer are great first turn drops, as the Tracker offers us the Explore ability, potentially giving us an extra land to hand, or it can grow itself stronger. Both are excellent outcomes, and the Storm Tamer will be some safety net for any potential removal we have to fight early on. The Dire Fleet Captain is literally our battering ram. The more pirates we have swinging, the bigger it gets. And normally I'm not super big on creatures being included just for the sake of attacking and not having some other utility, but given the potential strength of this creature to be a huge beat stick and lightly drawing a good amount of blockers trying to kill it, it's a good deterrent to get our other creatures through. The Dire Fleet Ravager is a dangerous card to drop, sapping a third of every player's life total. Now in this deck, I personally don't run anything like Sanguine Bond or Exquisite Blood, but if you want to put all that life loss the opponents have to fight to good use, you could consider them for your personal build. Fathom Fleet Captain offers us an additional pirate token to grow our crew. Kari Zev, not quite an Ixalan pirate like the rest of our crew, does still offer us very good offense. She's hard to block effectively, and the Ragavan token pops in to get some extra damage in as well. I'm glad I found a home for her in Brass's crew. She's one of my favorite pirates. The Ruin Raider is great value, giving us a Dark Confidant-esque ability whenever we've attacked in a turn. Now then, that was more of our sword and dagger crew, but we do also have some pirates who do some other things that are more behind the scenes. Angroth's Marauders is a one-sided Furnace of Wrath, doubling our damage output. The Captivating Crew and the Hostage Taker both work to steal your opponent's valuables. The Deadeye Quartermaster offers us a useful tutor ability for vehicles and for equipment, both of which we will get to later on. This is an excellent ability to have as we do have a lot of potent value in our vehicles. Marchesa, the Black Rose, isn't quite a pirate, but she does offer us a ton of value in the form of the Dethrone mechanic. Whenever a creature with Dethrone goes after a player with the highest life total, it gets a +1/+1 counter on it. Marchesa also offers us some nice graveyard recursions should one of those creatures die with a +1/+1 counter on it, meaning your pirates won't be dead for very long. Now then, to the golden goose of this deck, the treasure mechanic. Treasure tokens come into play as artifacts that can tap and sack to add a mana of any color to your mana pool. This offers us extra mana to ramp us into our bigger spells, and we do have a few cards that can benefit from our treasure hoard. Captain Lannery Storm not only spawns a treasure whenever attacking, but can get more powerful when we sacrifice treasure. Deadeye Plunderers doesn't quite specify treasure, but we can assume as much. They grow stronger through more artifacts we control. We can also sink our mana into creating treasure, which in turn powers it up. This is perhaps one of the best treasure production among our creatures, as we can use this any number of times depending on how much mana we have. The Dire Fleet Hoarder leaves behind a treasure when it dives, giving it added value. Actually, I think Ruthless Knave is our best treasure spawner. We can pay 3 and sack a creature to make 2 treasure. We can also sacrifice 3 treasure to draw a card, giving those treasure tokens added value. We also run 2 enchantments that help produce treasure, the Trove of Temptation and the Revel in Riches. The Trove forces opponents to attack us each combat and at least one creature, but it'll spawn us a treasure every turn. I don't find this so much of a negative trade-off as with Revel in Riches, one of the cards we want to start bolstering our treasure count. Once we hit 10 or more treasures, we win the game. I like it as a really neat win con that just sort of sits waiting. Spell Swindle is also a fun counterspell that, depending on whatever we're countering, Eldrazi, we can get a ton of treasure tokens. Prying Blade gives us a treasure whenever a creature connects with an opponent, and the treasure map will give us 3 treasures after we've used it to scry 3 times. I actually like this card better in this deck than Crystal Ball, as the scry helps, and then when it becomes the Treasure Cove, it'll offer us card draw. We also will want to enhance our combat prowess. Pirates are ruthless killers, and we should ensure that we help them do their job to the best of their ability. Aggravated Assault gives us extra combat phases, especially good to utilize those treasure tokens. If we found a way to spawn 5 each combat, we can theoretically go infinite with combat steps. Fervor gives our creatures haste, letting them hit the ground running. War Cadence, a highly underrated enchantment in any red aggro deck, can help ensure that our opponents can't block our creatures easily, not without paying a lot of mana. Anger and Wonder both make appearances as creatures better off dead in this deck. Both, while in a graveyard, can give haste and flying respectively, offering huge boons to our crew. Now that our spells are out of the way, it's time to talk the mana base. We're in Grixis colors, so unfortunately, we're not much in the way of a ton of mana ramp. The Chromatic Lantern is key in any 3 or more color deck, giving our perfect mana fixing to all of our lands. Of course, your standard shock lands and fetches. Again, when it comes to fetch lands, I personally only recommend the on-color fetches to make things simple. Cavern of Souls to protect your crew from counter magic, a very potent ability for this deck. Croesus' Catacombs and the Crumbling Necropolis both offer all 3 of our colors, the Catacombs offering abilities similar to the Karoo lands where you bounce a land, but this one comes in as an untapped tri-land, which I personally like. I run the check lands as well, being a fan of lands that don't come into play tapped, although a less budget option I would consider for this space would be the Shadowmoor Filter lands. Gaia Reach Sanitarium offers card draw to the table, City of Brass and Mana Confluence for some omnicolor production. Path of Ancestry, one of the few lands that are required to enter the battlefield tapped that I will let play, lets us scry one whenever we cast either a human or a pirate. The Reliquary Tower is a must-have to hold on to our card draw, and of course Rogue's Passage to ensure that our attacking pirates get through. So what do you think of Pirate Tribal? I really love how this deck can be both aggressive and controlling at the same time, stealing opponents' cards while beating face. It's very flavory for pirates. I also very much enjoy the treasure mechanic. It's one of my favorite new mechanics from Ixalan. I think the card that inspired this whole deck was the Revel in Riches. But what cards do you consider running in a pirate deck? Feel free to share them below in the comments section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and share this with your Commander playgroup. If you want to help support the channel more directly, you can do so over at our Patreon. Even $1 a month can help us keep the lights running and improving. And as always, I'll catch you landlubbers next upkeep.